In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between the fear of death and something like the fear of pain.
Pain?
Are they both this egocentric, irrational kind of fear? Or is one of them more so a cautionary, kind of selfless, built-in ancient device? Right? And I say that because oftentimes people will say that you need this kind of egocentric fear to keep yourself alive, right? We need the ego for survival. But just note that that's a 50-50 chance. Oftentimes that fear, that egocentric fear, can pause you, can freeze you like a deer in headlights, and now you're mauled by this cougar, or you get hit by the train, right? So that's to say that all you can do in fear, you can do in love and awareness tenfold.
Spiritual tools.
Right? Ego is only needed in the beginning, because in order to see what is, first you have to see what is not. That's the only reason ego is there. It is needed, but you have to go full circle away from that. So there's this deep kind of fear that's irrational in the sense that you have a deep belief that I am going to die and disappear forever, right? And that's irrational because that's not true. You are awareness, and that is the whole. That's eternal. And then you have this kind of cautionary fear, like taking your hand off the stove or driving on the right side of the road. That isn't so much egocentric, right? It's awareness. You know, just as stupid as it is to kill, it's as stupid to be killed, right? So that's more so of a caution and not necessarily this kind of irrational, delusional fear, right? This kind of fear that can be transcended. You know, at first you have this ego, right? You have this illusion of self. And like I said, at first that's needed because in order to see what it is, first we have to see what is not, right? So, but to go full circle is to recognize what you are, which is the whole, and step out of that fear. It's like how in a dream, right? You can be in this deep illusion that you are the dream character and that you're getting chased by something, right? Or whatever the case is, you're not having a very good dream. And then in this dream, you randomly recognize, oh, I'm dreaming. I'm the whole, you know, and the sense of self just drops, right? A great relief occurs. That's the whole point of transcending that kind of fear, that irrational fear. It's not to say you're not going to have a kind of cautionary fear response. It's just not going to be egocentric in that way, right? It's not to say that if somebody was to punch you in the face, you aren't going to respond. You respond, but you do that 100% in awareness. You don't let your center move. You don't get angry. You don't do it in hate. You respond. You punch them in the face to show them that aggression doesn't work, right? You can do that in this state of openness and awareness. That's what somebody like Bruce Lee was talking about. You know, you can give emotional content without anger.
I said emotional content, not anger.
So, you know, this is to say that there's definitely a difference between this kind of irrational fear, which is almost delusional in a sense, and having a kind of built-in ancient cautionary response. The ego will trick you. It will say things like, oh, so you just don't need fear at all, right? Well, there's just more dimensions to that than what the mind can even comprehend. So in order for it to keep you around, for you just to look away from that and think, yeah, I need fear. I got to friend my ego. It tells you that. It conveys to you that, hey, you have to have me or you're not going to care to be alive anymore. All right, well, I don't see all these people in meditation trying to commit suicide, right? If that was the case after their meditation, they'd be like, you know what? I'm walking in front of that car. I don't care anymore. It's kind of extreme, but you get my point. You know, they're not doing that. Oftentimes athletes, musicians, when they get in the zone, that's where they're at, just this point of awareness. It's no longer egocentric. There's no longer fear in that. When that martial artist, when that athlete starts acting from fear, you know, they're no longer in the zone. You know, their self is getting in front of themselves. That's not the zone. That's when you aren't performing your best, to be fair. So it's definitely a tricky topic, but with just a little bit of awareness, you can figure this out. You can notice the difference between a kind of egocentric fear that's irrational in that way, and something that's just more so ancient and supposed to be there. It's no different than a baby, right? A child. And whenever it's hungry, it cries. Whenever it's in pain, it cries. It has this response, but it has no idea of itself whatsoever. There's no ego about that baby. It's selfless. It's got this Buddhahood to it, but it's more so in ignorance, right? It's not capable of even knowing what a self is. For the first couple months, a baby doesn't even recognize that it's separate from the mom. Right? So you can have these natural body responses that are just ancient and built in. Just keep that in mind.